You know, the cats we share our homes with, whether they're sacred temple guardians or rugged American pioneers, have histories that are so much richer and, frankly, stranger than we usually imagine. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret stories behind some of the world's most famous cat breeds.
You might look at your cat and think you know its story, right? But for so many popular breeds, their true origins are this wild mix of myth, legend, and some really surprising historical twists. It turns out what we think we know is often just the tip of the iceberg.
All right, so here's the plan. We're going to dive into the stories of four very different cats. We're talking a journey from sacred temples in Burma all the way to the rugged farms of colonial America. And along the way, we're going to separate the incredible legends from a reality that is, honestly, often even more incredible.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the Burman. You know the one. Gorgeous blue eyes, these perfect little white gloves on its paws. Its entire identity is wrapped up in one of the most beautiful and poetic origin stories in the entire cat world.
So the legend takes us way back, centuries ago, to the temple of Lao Tsun. In this temple lived a high priest named Munha, who worshipped a golden goddess with stunning sapphire eyes. And his constant companion? A beautiful white temple cat named Sin. It was actually believed that the souls of priests were reincarnated into these sacred cats.
Well, one day, the temple was raided. As his master, Munha, lay dying, his loyal cat Sin placed his paws on him and looked up at the goddess statue. And then, something incredible happened. Sin's white fur turned the shimmering gold, his eyes became the exact sapphire blue of the goddess, but his paws, the parts touching his pure master, they stayed snow white. This amazing transformation rallied the other priests, and they managed to save their temple.
It's a beautiful story, right? But the documented history of the Burman is almost as dramatic. Turns out the modern breed didn't really start in a temple, but with a dangerous journey to France in 1919. And then, after World War II, the entire breed in Europe was nearly wiped out. It was down to just a single pair. I mean, can you believe it? Every single Burman cat alive today is a descendant of that incredible post-war recovery effort.
Next up, we've got the Abyssinian. With its ticked coat and that alert, kind of wild look, this is a cat that just screams ancient origin story. And for a very long time, that's exactly what it had.
I mean, just look at them. That regal posture, those elegant, statuesque lines. It is no wonder at all that people immediately connected the Abyssinian to the sacred cats you see in Egyptian tombs and temples. They seriously look like they just strolled out of a pharaoh's palace.
The reality, though, is a little more recent and a lot more British. The first official record we have of the breed is from a London cat show way back in 1871. The cat was apparently brought to the UK by soldiers who were returning from the war in Abyssinia, what we now call Ethiopia, just a few years before that.
But here's the thing. The story isn't quite that simple. The early records are so spotty that we don't even know if the breed started with just one cat or several. Some people even think they came from Southeast Asia. So what we know for sure is this. While its ancient roots are still a total mystery, the Abyssinian cat we know and love today was really perfected in Victorian England.
All right, leaving the old world behind, let's jump over to a uniquely American breed with a story just as big and shaggy as the cat itself, the one and only Maine Coon.
The folklore around the Maine Coon is just wild. The most famous tall tale is that they're a mix between a cat and a raccoon, which, let's be clear, is biologically impossible. But then you've got other stories linking them to Viking explorers or even the doomed French queen Marie Antoinette.
So, okay, if they aren't part raccoon, where in the world did that bushy tail and rugged look come from? Well, the scientific answer is actually way cooler. It's a concept called convergent evolution.
Basically, the Maine Coon got its big, tufted paws, its thick, shaggy coat, and that famous bushy tail for one simple reason: survival. These are perfect adaptations for the tough, snowy winters in New England. It's the exact same process that gave similar features to other cats from cold climates, like the Norwegian forest cat.
So the real story is less about queens and raccoons and a whole lot more about pioneers. Genetic tests show they came from the hardy, long-haired working cats that the early European settlers brought with them to North America. They are a true American original, literally shaped by the land itself.
And they really are gentle giants. For a while, a Maine Coon named Stewie actually held the Guinness World Record for the longest domestic cat. Get this, he measured a staggering 123 centimeters. That's over 4 feet long from his nose to the tip of his tail.
All right,
Our final cat is the Persian, an absolute icon of feline elegance. But hiding under that glamorous, fluffy coat is a history that's surprisingly modern and has sparked a ton of debate.
For hundreds of years, the name pretty much said it all. A Persian cat was, from Persia. The story always went that these long-haired beauties were first brought to Europe from the historic region of Khorasan, that's modern-day Iran and Afghanistan, way back in the 1600s.
But here's the twist. Recent genetic research has completely flipped this story on its head. It turns out that modern Persians show very little genetic connection to cats from the Near East. Actually, their closest relatives are just random-bred cats from Western Europe. So the breed might have started in Persia, but the cat we know today is a European creation. And you can actually see this genetic rewrite in the cat's face. The original Persians had a pretty normal cat face, what people now call doll face. But back in the 1950s, a genetic mutation caused a really flat, squished-in face, the peak face, and some breeders just ran with it, selectively breeding to make it even more extreme. Unfortunately, this push for an ultra-typed, super flat face has come at a serious price. This condition is called brachycephaly, and it's linked to a whole list of severe health problems. We're talking major breathing difficulties, dental problems, chronic eye issues, and it's raised some really serious ethical questions about where we draw the line with selective breeding.
So there you have it, 4 cats, 4 absolutely incredible journeys. From these sacred myths to stunning scientific revelations, their stories are so much more complex than they seem on the surface.
When you lay it all out, you start to see this clear pattern, don't you? The Burman sacred temple story gives way to a story of French preservation. The Abyssinians' Egyptian myth is replaced by British development. The Maine Coon's wild animal hybrid tales are really a story of American evolution. And the Persian's ancient royal lineage turns out to be a much more modern and Western creation.
These histories really prove that our pets are like living documents, They're shaped by how we move around the world, the stories we tell, and the choices we make as breeders and owners. We are actively shaping these breeds every single day. And that leaves you with one last thought. What are their secret histories going to look like 100 years from now?